We have a question from Rully in Indonesia. My question is regarding the linkage on the rear swing arm. If I change the mounting points of the linkage, will it affect the way suspension works, i.e., getting to a point that my bike is as stiff as a rock, it won't move. At the moment, I'm running a 2010 R6 complete rear end on a Ninja 250. It doesn't say what year, and the rear end doesn't even move if I'm sitting or bouncing on the bike whatsoever. Okay, let's see. So in regards to your question, then, really, what you're looking at are several things. The chassis was designed with a certain length of swing arm, so on your original bike, you need to measure from the swing arm pivot point to the rear axle and see what that distance is. Then you need to measure the distance from the swing arm pivot point to the linkage points on your original swing arm. Then you need to measure the length of the shock that was your original shock. That was how the chassis was designed to work, and everything must be in that range. Now, when you transplanted the R6 rear end on it, I doubt that you did the measurements simply because you didn't know that you had to do that. So you need to then do the same measurements again with the R6 and figure out what has changed. Now remember, with the 2010 R6, you have a shock, spring, and valving specifically designed for that bike, that swing arm movement arc, and the linkage ratios. So if those don't match, then no matter what you try, it isn't going to work. Even if you were to go in and revalve the shock, put a different spring on it, etc., etc. So whenever you get into transplant surgery like this, you have to be able to mimic all the original measurements, because that was what it was designed for. If you can get close to those measurements, even if that means making different dog bones of different lengths to make sure that you get the swing arm movement through the arc it was designed for, then you can at that point go into trying different things. Now obviously your experiment is a little extreme in terms of transplanting an entire rear end, but there are various companies that have done that quite successfully on multiple other bikes with different pieces put together. So research and development on that on the front end, in understanding what you took off and what you put on, will explain to you why, in this instance, the back of your bike won't move at all. Clearly there are many motorcycles, because they have either unadjustable shocks or non-serviceable shocks, or shocks with just preload and rebound only, where owners want to transplant a different shock into the bike. Sometimes that requires modifications to, say, a battery box on an SV650 if you're going to put a GSXR or a Kawasaki shock inside of that. Also, the length of the shock is critical, because that's also going to change your ride height in terms of the seat position. It will change many other things in regards to that as well. So get out your tape measure early. You have a lot of work to do to try and understand what's going on here, why the bike won't move, and what happened in regards to the differences with the swing arm length, the linkage lengths, the position of the linkage in relation to the swing arm, and most importantly, where the shock mounts, the angle of the linkage of the shock matched or married together in the way they should move. So sorry to send you off with a ton of work to do to understand what happened, but when you're done with all the math and the measuring, it will be very evident to you why this isn't working. And ultimately, of course, that's the source of your question, in seeing if you can configure this out. So really, thank you very much for your question. For those of you that have questions, please send them to me via Facebook and my tuning page, Dave Moss Tuning. Thanks very much.